The People's Hotline drives the conversation every time, right here, right now on the Dangerous Ones podcast.
The shots been fired, but the war ain't won. These white boys with money better learn how to run. The wall hits your back, the blood's on your tongue. You and me, baby, with a dangerous
one. Welcome to the Dangerous Ones podcast. I'm your host, Jim Drastic of 11 Films, and I'm happy to welcome back my amazing wife and award-winning co-founder of 11 Films, Tiffany Drastic.
Hi.
Welcome back, Tiff.
Thank you very much.
Are you feeling better?
Dude, I was just doing too much. I was just going too many places. Sometimes your body just goes, bitch, you need to sit down.
You didn't look so good when I left the house. I was like,
how am I going to get up 3 flights of stairs at work? That's not happening. I couldn't even get from the couch to the table without getting woozy.
I know. I was getting a little nervous. And
Me too.
It turns out everything was okay. Probably just a little dehydrated.
Yeah, and I hadn't eaten. I get focused on work and I just forget to eat. And I didn't realize how long it had been. And then you get home late and you feed the cat and you're like, it's fine. I'm just going to go to bed. And that's it. And then you do that 2 days, 3 days in a row.
Yeah, you hadn't eaten much. And
I hadn't.
Next thing you know, you're like, oh.
I know. I made that joke about Nick being like a 3-almond dad. That was literally me for like 3 days. What'd you have today? Slice of cheese?
Yeah, right. We are moving quite fast lately. But unfortunately, now Nick is out.
I know.
Nick is not going to be joining us this week. He is a little bit under the weather, but he will be back next week. So hopefully you didn't give it to him,
I don't
did
think
you?
it's the same thing. I think his is like, I don't know. No. But he's probably exhausted too.
Nick, get well soon.
Get well soon, buddy.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining the movement to ditch the corporate mainstream media Sunday morning news shows for America's alternative.
Thank you, everyone.
Powered by you and the People's Hotline, where you drive the conversation. Tell us your truth by calling 503-212-4600. Again, that is 503-212-4600. You can leave us a voicemail 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can remain anonymous. If calling is not your thing, you can also email us at shout@thedangerousones.com. That is SHOUT@thedangerousones.com. Folks, we have Senator Ron Wyden joining us next week, and I'm sure a lot of people have already been calling.
Yeah, they have.
They got a lot to say.
Lots of emails, too.
Absolutely. So if you have a question for Senator Wyden that you would like us to show him, he's going to be responding to your messages to the People's Hotline. So please call the People's Hotline, 503-212-4600, or email us, shout@thedangerousones.com, and give us your message for Senator Wyden. Please do us a favor right now and hit the like and subscribe button. It helps us climb the algorithm and bring more voices like yours into the spotlight, and it truly means a lot to us. And folks, if you could just go right now and leave a comment, that would help as well. Put a comment in there saying, stop playing hooky, Nick.
Yeah. Yeah. Are the three of you going to be working at all at the same time? The fuck?
I'm the only one that's always here,
I
man.
know.
Gosh.
Good old Jim.
So, folks, this week we have an incredible show for you today, and I'm not just saying that. We were flooded with calls from people urging their neighbors to start preparing. It's time.
Yeah.
This is not a joke anymore. It is now time to prepare. Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security are at extreme risk, and callers have now been sharing tips on how to get ready in the eventual possible collapse of these essential government services. And I'm not trying to, scare anybody. They're already taking steps to defund Social Security. They're cutting 7,000 jobs off of Social Security right now. So it's time to be prepared as Democrats.
And lots of people are going to be losing their jobs. And so it's time to get ready. I'm not trying to alarm you. Just get ready so we don't freak out.
And again, when we say the People's Hotline drives a conversation, we're not kidding. You guys called about
You're
this.
telling us what to do.
You're telling us. So we've had a lot of people call with suggestions on how to be prepared. And this week, we're going to do something, we're calling it Democratic prepping, surviving the GOP.
Yes.
And we're going to give you tips on how to make a blue out bag.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've all heard about a bug out
Yeah,
bag.
we have our own.
That's right. But now I think it's time that we make a blue out bag because there is some very serious things going on.
Something's coming.
And just even slight disruptions for certain folks can mean the difference between having a place to live, not having a place to live, having medication, not having medication.
Right. And hey, you want to tell me to go fuck myself and everything's going to work out? I hope it does. I hope it does. But if it doesn't, and it's looking a little gray out there, we need to prepare for the storm that's coming.
Absolutely. And this is not tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. They're telling us what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. It makes sense. It's appropriate for us to be prepared.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about Democratic prepping, surviving the GOP. We're also, we're going to talk a little bit about the Tesla boycott. Mm-hmm. We got some calls about that. And then also we have an explosive call from an anonymous woman in Missouri about a White House employee. It is absolutely heartbreaking.
I got my tissues. You guys lock in.
Oh, boy. And so be ready for that. But first, we want to talk about blue dots in red states.
Yeah.
We had a huge response from last week's caller. She was a blue dot in South Carolina, and she called and said, hey, don't lump me in with everyone else. There's a lot of good people in these red states who didn't vote for this crap. And, and I can understand it being hard being lumped in like that.
Me too. And, if you didn't do the fucking around, it really sucks to find out. And
that's right.
And I've been guilty of it too. And I'm sorry if I ever said anything or did anything that was like fucked up because
I'm not perfect,
and in these times, it's a little bit of gallows humor that gets us through,
Yeah. And, but I think she made a fantastic point.
Yeah, me too.
And the listeners out there absolutely responded. And we got a bunch of calls from blue dots in red states. So much so that instead of we can't play them all.
Right.
So we decided to make a collage of all the calls. Mm-hmm. Sit back, check this out. This is a bunch of blue dots in red states who called the People's Hotline. Buckle up.
Hi there, this is Gail calling from the hellscape that is also known as Texas.
Hello, my name is Nicole, and I'm from Alabama.
Hi, this is Linda. I live in Orange County, Florida.
This is Suze, and I live in a red state.
My name is Allison, and I'm calling from bright red Florida.
Hi, this is Barbara. I'm a Texas native.
I have never called into a show before.
And I am a blue dot in a very red state.
Blue dot in a red county in a red state.
Blue dot in a red state.
And I'm another blue dot in a red state.
Although I do live in Palm Beach County, which is a blue county.
And I am surrounded by ultra mega people.
It's really hard to live in Florida.
It makes it really hard just to go to work, having to listen to their ignorant bullshit.
It's just very, very difficult.
It is horrible.
This last time after he was elected, I just felt so marginalized.
I hate being lumped in with backwards ideology and backwards thinking.
I have never supported Trump, never thought he was a viable candidate.
When I hear people say, fuck around and find out for places like Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, I know you're not talking to me.
My family members support Donald Trump.
I was chatting with a MAGA, and I should say friend, in air quotes.
I have friends who also support Trump.
I have Haitian friends who are panicked and in hiding because they are afraid they will be deported.
She was going down the rabbit hole talking about trans and gay people and DEI.
Everyone that I saw probably voted for Trump.
Do you have any great words of wisdom that I might be able to share with her just to enlighten her and to stop the rhetoric? Because it's just so hateful and marginalized.
Because all we've got right now is we told you so.
I didn't vote for this bullshit. I'm not down for this fuckery. It has nothing to do with me.
It's been really, really difficult.
We are afraid, even us blue warriors down here, we are afraid because of the sickness that is in the White House.
We have so much work to do as blue dots in red states.
We've got to stick together.
I'm going to make a fucking difference.
Thank you guys. Keep up the good work.
Keep up the good work.
Love your podcast and have love following you on the social.
Thank you for letting me vent. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Oh.
Wow. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
That was just, I mean, we had so many calls. We thought, just the best way was to make a collage of them.
It really shows like they really feel like they're out there by themselves. And I'm sure every day in your life that is what it feels like. And then you hear like everyone's calling in feeling that way. It's so uniting,
Absolutely. And so we want to thank all of the callers in that collage. Again, that was Allison from Florida, Barbara from Texas, Linda from Orange County, Florida, Nicole from Alabama, Suze, who was just in a red state, and then also Gail from Texas. Thank you for those calls. My goodness.
I mean,
we live in Oregon, and it's boy, you drive 20 miles outside of the city limits of Portland.
Oh, yeah.
And folks, we know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And we only visit these places. We're lucky to live in Portland. It's very liberal. It's very, very, people are very different here, very accepting of everyone here. And so we went someplace up in the gorge, I think, for the weekend. And this is like right after the convention. And we were all full
before
of
the election.
Kamala hope. And we were so excited, right? And we got there on a Friday. On a Saturday, we saw a Harris Walls sign. We're like, oh my God.
Because you never see it in the rural part of Oregon.
Never.
Yeah.
Like next fucking day, it was gone.
Yeah.
Didn't last one day.
It did barely last. I know. And also when we go on vacation, we like to vacation in Central Oregon.
I love it there.
And it's beautiful. And, but boy, you start seeing the big Trump signs. You see, you even see Confederate flags.
Oh, yeah.
You see lots of that stuff. And, I can understand feeling a little bit, some of them are talking about being afraid, feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's completely understandable.
They're so emboldened now. It's like we shop at the same grocery store at this little town because there's one strip, 2 grocery stores. This one's employee owned. So obviously we shop there, right?
It's the only store in this little town in Central Oregon where we vacation.
Exactly.
Yes.
I go into the aisle and there's a stock boy there and I get what I need and I leave and I realize, I forgot something. So I go back. I don't know if he's talking to me, but the fact that he felt comfortable saying this stupid fucking liberal, I was like...
And there was nobody else in the aisle.
Nobody else is in the aisle. I don't know if he's talking to me. I don't know what I look like in this town to the people who live there, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could probably smell it on me. It's fine. But like...
Can you believe that?
No.
I remember you got in the car and you were like,
like
the guy just said stupid fucking liberal when I was in the aisle. There's nobody else in the aisle.
And he's right here because he's doing the thing, not getting out of the way of what, and I have to reach up and get what I'm getting. Like,
Unreal.
I don't know, just in my day, like when I had that job, it was like, oh, sorry. Oh, let me get that for you. It was just, it's not, first of all, you're not swearing at the customer.
Yeah.
I'm only visiting. I can only imagine what it feels like to live in a place that's like that. And it's like they're lions on a carcass. They're just like, they're not spiritually here. I don't know what's going on, but they're just...
And they've been radicalized.
Yeah.
And so I can understand these blue dots in these red states saying, you can hear the, just a little bit of fear in each one of their voices.
So I hope that hearing all of you guys together is reassuring to you guys out there that you're not alone, and you have got to keep being loud. You've got to keep standing in truth because that's what they want you to be scared. They want you to slink back and not raise your little voice. Well, that's too fucking bad.
Yeah. Every time we go into like rural Oregon, and we see something, we were in another a town, and we saw a protest in this little town. It was just this little protest. I forget what it was about, but it was anti-Trump.
Right.
I went, go, dude. We're honking the horn. We're like, yeah. I mean, it's brave of them to be doing that.
Yeah, especially where they are, So that's what these times are going to require is bravery.
Absolutely. And I wanted to address Gail from Texas in that collage. She said, do you have any advice for how we get through to people, basically she's saying, who have been indoctrinated by Fox News. She was talking to a friend, and they were talking about, she said gay, trans, and DEI. And this woman was spouting off, just Fox News talking points. Right. And one thing that Tiff and I were talking about when we were discussing that call was we always bring it back to the person.
Yeah.
And we say it, first of all, lead with empathy and curiosity. Don't mock them. You do that, they're going to shut down right away.
Yeah.
Humanize it. Share personal stories that of gay people, trans people, or DEI actions. Personalize it. And ask them, what we always say is, how have you been hurt? Been hurt.
Turn your screen off for a second. Forget everything everyone over here is saying just for a second. In your life on this earth that you experience every day, how many trans people, gay people, people of color, marginalized people have actually threatened your life? Go. Guess what are they going to say?
Yeah.
You know what they're going to say.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah. Another thing is, I think this is a really good point, is to offer to that friend to meet your LGBTQ plus friends, your if you have trans friends, offer for them to meet your friends, to set up like a meeting to talk, because once they sit down, what are they going to say? It's difficult too, because when they're indoctrinated, like Gail from Texas was basically saying, when they're indoctrinated like that, we say these things all the time, but I don't know how else to say it. They're in a cult.
Yeah.
They believe these things. So to pull them out of the cult is you got to be gentle. Like we always say, don't scare the squirrel.
Right.
Yeah. If the squirrel's coming up close to you, don't scare it away, they're, slowly.
Yes. They're like, and I'm not trying to demean them. It sucks to admit that you've been conned. Okay. And to say out loud and admit that you have been conned at this level, I'm sure they just can't face it. So they're going down with the ship. So the only thing we can do is just keep educating each other, just keep sticking together with our blue dots, start reaching out. The only thing you can do is reach out to them with little like morsels of knowledge and truth. These are seed planting missions now. You can't just, you can't do that anymore.
Yep.
And there's a time and space for that. But in these times, that's not it. You have to coax them over here to even listen, because these people now have two mouths and one ear instead of the other way around. They're not listening.
That's why we feel that the best way to fight back is amplifying true stories. That's why we created the People's Hotline. That's why we're doing this whole thing. Yeah. Tiffany and I can sit down all day long and make as many cinematic videos that we want to, political videos that we want. But we're on a new, this is a new game.
Yes.
And so that's not working quite the same way that it was before.
It isn't.
And so we need to flood the airwaves with true stories from real people. Okay. Thank you so much to all the blue dots in red states.
Stay strong, you guys.
Stay strong. Keep calling the People's Hotline. We love hearing from you. I am overwhelmed by the breadth of the different states. Lots of people from Texas calling, lots of people from Florida, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. I love it. And lots of women.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Keep calling, please.
Please keep calling, you guys.
Next up, we got Drew from St. Louis. He's a repeat caller, and he wants to chime in about the Musk-Tesla boycott, which I can't wait to hear this.
Hey, guys, this is Drew from St. Louis. I just wanted to talk about feeling sorry for Elon because, come on, the guy's had everything going for him. Everything's been going fantastic. Everything's aces, and he's just going around taking care of stuff, The bottom drops out, his Tesla car company is crashing. Everything around him is crashing, and kind of like what he did to all the veterans and what he's done to everybody that had a job that thought that everything was going fantastic. And then all of a sudden he dropped it out from underneath of them, as if there isn't going to be any consequences for ruining people's lives or just going through. I mean, he even makes fun of it with the chainsaw. Like, he's just going through with the chainsaw. Everything's ha, funny. But there's real-world consequences to doing this kind of stuff. You bought the presidency. You're the number 2 douche on the planet, and you get what you deserve. So I'm almost willing to buy Tesla stock just so that I can sell it immediately to be part of the sell-off. Thanks.
Drew from St. Louis.
But he's not wrong. It's just like they're just laughing with chainsaws. And
Oh, my God, I know. So for the people who don't know, bring us up to speed on what's going on with the Elon Tesla boycott.
I mean, if we're going to laugh at inappropriate times, I will give you some shit, okay? So Tesla stock is down 50% since December. Like, it's, what day is it? It's March.
I know, that was quick.
Yikes. And in China, sales of Tesla have fallen 49% since February.
Since February?
February.
Whoa.
Tesla sales down 49% in China. Yeah.
It's gotta hurt.
Yeah. And European sales at a 2-year low.
Well, I guess that's what happens when you throw a Nazi sign in front of a big crowd of people and start, cutting people's jobs and just acting like it's no big deal and that it's funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How many times do we have to be shown that he can't run shit?
Yeah.
I don't care how fucking smart he is. He does everything he touches dies.
Yeah, and so people are now protesting all around the country. Some have turned violent, which we don't advocate violence.
I'm not condoning violence.
Absolutely. But there are creative,
fun ways
that we can boycott Teslas. And we are going to have a video about that coming out next week about a creative, fun way to boycott Tesla. Tiffany's been working on this for a little while.
I've been cooking something up.
Yeah. And listen, I'm with the protesters.
Me too. And it's your First Amendment right. So no matter what Donald Trump says, how he's going to outlaw it and you're going to be domestic terrorists, he cannot do that. He cannot do that.
Yeah, in case you don't know, Donald Trump said that he might label them as domestic terrorists, these people who are protesting.
I got the clip right here.
Fantastic.
No, that's beautiful. Yeah. Mr. President talks about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships. Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists.
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. I've stuck up for the NFL. I've stuck up for a lot of American companies and other companies, but American companies. I did a very big favor for the NFL. I do favors for all. When you heard an American company, especially a company like this, supplies so many jobs that others are unable to do, when you do that, those people are going to go through a big problem when we catch them. And we have you got a lot of cameras up. We already know who some of them are. We're going to catch them. And they're bad guys. They're the same guys that screw around with our schools and universities, the same garbage. And no, we're going to catch them. And let me tell you, you do it to Tesla and you do it to any company, we're going to catch you and you're going to go through hell.
Mr. President.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Senior, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I got the Constitution. You can't do shit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying throw Molotov cocktails or shoot up the place. That's not what I'm saying.
No, but
you can't tell me I can't stand on the corner with a sign and yell obscenities at what the fuck you're doing over there. Yes, I can.
Yeah. And again, I also feel sorry for good people who bought Teslas, back in the day before. And it's why we see those.
I do too.
There's people who have bumper stickers that say, I bought this before he went batshit,
right.
And I feel sorry for those people. And I would say to those people is like, first of all, not everybody can just sell their car tomorrow.
Obviously.
I get it. But I would recommend they get out of that Tesla as fast as they can because I don't know if this is going to end anytime soon.
It's not. We're just getting started.
Yeah. So that's going on. That's kind of funny. Thank you, Drew.
Thank you, Drew.
So next up, we have a group of callers, and which they all have kind of an overarching theme, and that is to be prepared. They're offering suggestions because what's going on with Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, they just passed the CR bill.
Fucking CR bill.
So services are no question going to be at very least disrupted.
Yeah, brace for impact, everybody.
So it makes sense for us to be prepared. And you know how they say people have a bug out bag for,
we have them.
Yeah. It makes sense to have what we are dubbing a blue out bag. This is not conspiracy theory like the world's going to end, but
shit's going down.
Shit's going down, and it makes sense, and it's intelligent for everybody to be prepared. So let's go through these callers and kind of talk about each one and what they have to offer with being prepared. First up is Miranda. She is a nurse from California, and she's got a fantastic call. Listen to this, guys.
Hi, guys. My name's Miranda, and I am a nurse in California. And I can't tell you how terrified I am of what's going to come with our health care right now. I worked all through COVID in the ICU. I saw more people than I ever thought in my life I would see die, and died horrible deaths. And I lost track of putting people on body bags. And it seems like it's going to go that way again because this administration, the goal is to have people die. That's why they're doing this, because they're using this Nazi rhetoric, these useless eaters, that these people who are disabled, who have had strokes, who, born with diseases, disabilities, that they have no use, that their lives don't matter, so they want to kill them. And cutting social projects is one way to do it. If they cut Medicare and Medicaid, our hospitals are going to collapse. Most of these people that live in nursing homes long-term are people that have had severe disabilities and can't take care of themselves or have dementia and could easily wander away and die. So they live in these facilities. 5 out of 8 people that are in those nursing homes are people like that. And they're paid through Medicaid. If that collapses, those facilities will close. Those people will be sent to the hospital, and they will be stacked in rooms. They won't have staff to turn them, so they're going to get bed sores and infections and UTIs, and they're going to die. Okay. And that's how it's going to go. And then our ERs will be full, our hospitals will be full. It'll be worse than COVID. I'm pissed at everything else, and I think Trump, Musk, and his entire ilk are treasonous and deserve to be court-martialed. And what else, I don't want to say. But just be scared, and I would recommend, if you don't know your vaccine status, with the fact that we have measles, rubella, tuberculosis, and some random new hemorrhagic fever in Africa that could easily come here now that Trump doesn't give a shit and RFK has a brain worm, go to your doctor and ask for your titers and get your shit topped off if it has been 10, 15 years since you've had that done. Just to be safe, trust me, if you get the measles, your immune system will be wiped out and you will start fresh again. So just go do it. All right. Thank you, guys. Let's hope that, we just don't start dying soon. Thanks. Bye.
Wow. Thank you, Miranda, nurse from California. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
First of all, let me just say thank you, Miranda, for everything you did during COVID. And from what you describe and from all the pictures we saw, certainly during 2020 and 2021, those nurses looked like they were coming right out of a scene from the show MASH.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like war.
I don't think we've still really dealt with it. It's very fresh.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't even believe, I can't even believe it's been, 5 years?
5 years. We're coming up on, it's 5 years now.
I can't believe that.
One of the things she mentioned was if you have a loved one living in a nursing home, right now, folks, this is part of our blue out bag. Have a plan for that loved one. If for some reason something happens to their Medicare, their Medicaid, their Social Security, for some reason, if they need another place to live, make a plan for that loved one right now. Tiffany and I were invited to the White House last year to sit in on a fireside chat about the sandwich generation. And to be honest with you, I didn't know a lot about the sandwich generation, although I was living in it.
I didn't know that's what we were called.
Right. I didn't know that's what it was called. And if you don't know what that is, somebody who is part of the sandwich generation is somebody who is taking care of children at home that are under the age of 18 while taking care of an elderly parent. And according to the Pew Research, people between the ages of 40 and 49 years old, 54% of them are currently doing that.
I can't believe that. More than half of us.
54%. And so Gen Xers out there are, about 54% of them, it sounds like, are sandwich generation.
Yeah.
And that's a lot to take on. You know what I mean?
It's hard to be a caretaker for an elderly parent, and it's hard to raise kids. But to do both of them at the same time it's hard. It's really difficult.
So first note here is make a plan for a loved one who is currently in a nursing home in case they can no longer be there.
If their care depends on Medicaid, Medicare systems, you need to make contingency plans for if that were to fall away, because that's what they're coming for.
Because that's where we're here now. Also, Miranda spoke about getting your titers.
Right. I didn't even know what that was.
I didn't either. I guess I had heard the word before, but I didn't fully understand what it was.
It's like a blood test or something?
That's right. It's a blood test. If you go to your doctor and ask to get a titer test, what they'll do is test your blood for the level of antibodies. You and I were born in 1975, and
that's one and done. Gen X is like, no, I got that when I was 3.
You got to they hit you with a bunch of shots, you're good. But it turns out, nope. So if you go to the doctor and you ask for your titer test, they'll do a blood draw, they'll do a lab analysis, and they'll determine if you have high titer or low titer or no titer, and you may need a booster shot or vaccination for measles, mumps, rubella, hepatitis, chickenpox, and COVID. These are things that they can check for. And I tell you, I can't believe we got to talk about this.
I know.
But,
I can't believe we're talking about measles.
Measles.
What the fuck is happening?
I know. And we're going to get into that a little bit deeper. But also, Trump's cuts to the USAID global health programs, to the CDC's Global Disease Surveillance Network, and U.S. funding for the World Health Organization has basically decimated our frontline defense for global outbreaks. And
see, that's where it gets real.
That's where it gets real.
Like when we no longer have like our super force shield of frontline workers keeping out fevers. Like she was saying, there's a new hemorrhagic fever coming out of Africa, and there's nobody manning the board.
Yeah. And so these programs were designed to detect and contain deadly diseases before they reach U.S. soil. But now with funding slashed, the risk of malaria, Ebola, tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS, and drug-resistant superbugs spreading across to the U.S., the chances have skyrocketed. And without these safeguards, international outbreaks will go unchecked, increasing the likelihood of infected travelers bringing these diseases here. And, here we go, folks.
Wow, thanks.
So let's be prepared. Let's get our titers checked.
Yep.
And also, one other thing about this is let's keep an eye on the news. Keep an eye on even those little sections in the newspaper, because this is a true story. I learned about COVID-19 in, I believe it was November of 2019, because of this young lady sitting to my left was reading all these articles, these small little articles coming out of China. And I remember I was actually getting irritated with her because she kept bringing it up. I go, nothing's going to happen.
He was being a real fucker too.
God.
A real fucker. You were.
I was not being a
yes,
fuck.
and you were like,
no.
What are you going to do? Run out and buy some more fucking canned food?
That is not what I said. But I was a little irritated, and I was like, listen.
When I started making space in the garage to store some groceries, he was like, I think you should see someone.
Well, I'm not humming that fucking tune anymore,
No,
am I?
you're fucking not.
So anyways, keep an eye on those little articles in the newspaper. And online.
Really, independent media, go to your local newspapers,
Absolutely.
your local news sources, find out even in your surrounding areas what's going on, even if it's an unfriendly, if you live in like we were talking about blue dots earlier, if you live in a red state, look and see even what they're talking about. Just gathering that intel will help you understand what they're not doing and how prepared you need to start being.
That's exactly right, because if we all just remember 5 years ago when Donald Trump was president at the same time, back then, he was having the CDC not report everything, so and we've already heard reports about him not doing that with the chicken flu, the chicken thing going on with eggs,
right.
The bird flu.
Yep. And they're shredding documents that you said now.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's just like, I don't know how bad do we spell it out? Hello,
yeah. So a recap of Miranda: make a plan for a loved one if they live in a nursing home. Number 2, get your titers checked. And number 3, keep an eye on those small stories. Our next caller is anonymous, and she doesn't say where she's from, but she also has suggestions for people who are losing Medicaid.
I have suggestions for persons on Medicaid that might lose their Medicaid. I would say hurry up and get as many, if you're on prescriptions, and most probably are, get as many of your prescriptions in advance as possible. Research all the over-the-counter meds, supplements, and foods that could be used if you can no longer get your prescriptions, because unfortunately that's a terrible, harsh reality that people may no longer be able to get the prescriptions that they think they need to stay alive. Trying to live a healthy lifestyle, even if they have significant health care impairments, to volunteer for others, that can be very meaningful, to help family members, to figure out that every senior that is currently living in an apartment all by themselves or a home, that's not going to be possible for many people on Medicaid, especially the elderly persons that are on Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. So families are going to have to figure out how to have shared households again, just like they did back in the Depression, and to work together and to plant a garden and to help each other. Thank you.
Wow, that's a heavy call.
Yeah.
So Anonymous spoke about getting as many of your prescriptions in advance as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I could not agree more with that.
Mm-hmm.
We're not saying stockpile medications, but we are saying get yourself a nice little cache of your prescription medications.
Whatever your doctor will allow.
Because you never know when the bottom is going to fall out.
Yeah.
And I can speak from experience myself. If you've listened to this program, I do take some medications, and one of them is inhalers. And when my inhaler becomes available to where I can refill it, even if my other one is not empty, I refill it right away.
Right.
Because then I take it, and Tiffany can attest to this, I'm not making it up. I've got a whole bag full of, 4/5 of the way completed inhalers for emergency situations.
Yeah, because stuff comes up or you'll forget it and we'll go someplace and you can't, this is not a medication that you can be without.
Yeah, this is breathing.
Right.
So, I do the same thing. And that brings me to another point is, well, how good are medications for?
How long can you keep them?
How long can you keep them? And so most medications have a expiration date set by the manufacturer, which is typically 1 to 2 years. If you keep most medications cool, dry, and in dark storage, they can usually last longer than that. But again, it's medications that are generally like hard pills.
Okay.
Dry medications like that generally can last longer. First of all, we are not advocating for people to take expired medication.
Do not do that.
But I am telling you this in an emergency survival situation. Things like ibuprofen can last even years beyond the expiration date. I know I've taken a Tylenol.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
What does that say? 19, so who cares?
Crying out loud. And then, things like that. And Benadryl, Zyrtec, those types of medications can last generally years beyond the expiration date.
Okay.
Because, we've all gotten sick or something, and then we go buy, I'm going to need some cold medication.
Oh, and you go out and you buy all the right shit, right? And you're like, okay, I'm set up now. If I ever get a cold, like in this year, I'm dialed. I'm dialed, right? You get over your cold, it's fine. You get another cold, it's 3 years later, but you don't know that. And you're like, yes, I have all that cold medicine I just bought. And you look at it, you're like, 2019.
Yeah, but you're like,
fine,
I'll be all right. Actually, though, it does say cold medications in tablet form often retain potency for years.
Okay.
But it does, we do have a warning here. Aspirin breaks down and starts to get a vinegar smell over time.
Oh.
So do not,
I never knew that.
Yeah, aspirin.
How many times have I taken it where I'm like, it's fine.
I'm sure I have too. Liquid medications, cough syrups, antibiotic suspensions, eye drops, things like that, they degrade faster due to the moisture. So, expiration date, throw those out.
Okay.
If you take nitroglycerin pills, throw those out as well. They lose potency quick, and they can also become dangerous taking them after expiration date. So another thing, as we talk about this and we're saying, hey, for your blue out bag, have your medications. Also, get stocked up on over-the-counter medications, like the caller I had mentioned. Also, like she said, I can't believe we got to talk about it.
I know.
Research foods.
I know.
Look for things that can... Listen, if the bottom drops out, what are we honestly going to do?
That's all we have.
So let's be prepared.
Yes.
Nobody's saying freak out.
Right. But, if you have arthritis, do not plant a nightshade garden. No tomatoes, no eggplant for you. No peppers. Do something else.
Yep. And also, like you had brought up, if you wear glasses.
Oh my God. If you wear glasses or contacts, go get your 2 pairs for $79.95 or whatever it is in your area. Get your contact lenses. Your prescription for your glasses is good for 2 years. Contacts are good for a year. Just stock up because you don't know how expensive they're going to be in 2 years because it's not looking good.
Absolutely.
So get them now. Just have a pair in the car wherever you need them, because if you're out there, look, I can't even see him. He could be a totally different man. I wouldn't even know. Like my doctor one time told me, I said, what would I ever do? Like, what would I have done before glasses were invented? And he looked me right in the face and he's like, you'd be a good seamstress. Because I can only see 2 inches in front of my face. So if like the zombie apocalypse happens, if all this shit pops off, just save yourselves. I can't even get down the stairs. It's fine.
We've joked about it that if something happened, you'd be blind and I can't breathe.
And you can't breathe. So just, we're fine.
We'll be all right.
Right. We'll barricade the door and we'll be really quiet.
Yeah, yeah. So to recap Anonymous's call, get as much of your prescription medications together in advance. Again, we're not saying stockpiling. Get a nice cache of over-the-counter medication.
You just never know.
Make sure you're researching foods. And I also love the idea of plant a garden.
Yeah.
If you can, plant a garden.
It's just for hobby's sake. I love doing it.
Yeah,
I love
you do it every year.
Yeah, love growing my own food.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, and also getting back to, we're still animals, right? This is still a planet we live on. Getting back to that knowledge and those ways of living, because it's looking like the system that we set up with our tax dollars is completely failing us. So,
and something that, having watched you plant a garden now for the last 10 years, every year, and it's not something that, just, tomorrow I'm going to go plant a garden. I'm going to have enough food to feed my family for 25. It doesn't, you've had good years, you've had bad years. You keep a journal, right?
Yep. Of every year.
Yeah. You keep a journal of every year of how it went, things that worked, things that didn't work. So, start now, folks. So Next up for our Blue Out bag, we've got Monique, and she's calling from Los Angeles, and she wants to. She has a couple things she wants to speak about. Let's hear Monique.
Great.
Hi, my name is Monique Parent, and I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I'm calling to the dangerous ones because I just have to vent. I am aghast at what is happening to our country right now. The fact that I had to go get my measles titers checked the other day because I might not be immune to measles, and there's a measles outbreak. This country is insane right now. I don't even understand what's going on. I'm seeing Trump supporters everywhere. All of a sudden, they're coming out in their shirts. I don't feel safe. I had 3 guys at the gym that were intimidating me the other day. It's frightening what our country has become. And is anyone going to do anything about it? Because I don't think I can take 4 years of this. Thank you for letting me vent.
Thank you so much, Monique. Monique. You can always call and vent to the People's Hotline. Thank you so much. What a fantastic call. A couple of things to break down there is, first of all, you can hear her, like she starts you hear it in her voice. She's freaked out. And I don't blame her.
I know.
Would be, I am too.
All of us are like, I can't believe we're talking about this right now.
I know. So again, she's talking about the measles titer. Go in, get that checked, and make sure that your vaccination, that you're still have antibodies, because if not, it's not good.
It's not good.
Let me tell you a little bit about the measles. First of all, it is one of the most highly contagious diseases you can get. For an example, this is a great example. If one person with the measles walks through a grocery store, everyone who walks through that same space for the next 2 hours is exposed to the measles. For the next 2 hours, one person.
I'm thinking about the last time I was at Fred Meyer, and there's like 100 people in there too.
Yeah.
I don't know how many, but like one person.
I was just in Safeway today. You know what I mean?
What if they don't know?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Here we go again, folks. Okay, measles. And then it also, measles kills 1 to 3 out of every 1,000 infected people. It really affects malnourished and immunocompromised people. Symptoms of the measles: you get a high fever, cough, runny nose, red eyes, and like a severe cold. And you get small white spots inside the mouth. This is unique to measles. So if you're getting those spots, you got the measles. You can get a rash, which starts at the hairline and spreads down the body. Big question is there a cure? There is not.
Of course not.
Of course not. The only way to combat measles is to drink fluids and take fever reducers, Tylenol and ibuprofen, and take vitamin A supplements. That sounds like a lot of fun. So, folks, there's nothing else than we could say other than to go get vaccinated. This is happening because people in, I believe it's Texas. I don't want to call out Texas, but I actually think it is.
Okay.
It's Texas and some other areas. They're not getting their children vaccinated because of fucking Donald Trump is telling them,
you don't need to.
I understand everybody, it's our First Amendment rights, but can we all just agree for a second?
Maybe not the most communicable diseases. We should be vaccinating the children. Come on.
Yeah, come on now.
It's the only thing that stops it. There's no cure. The only thing that mitigates measles is the vaccine.
And the measles vaccine is 97% effective.
What is happening?
It's basically, if you take the shot, you're going to be fine.
Right.
Stop it. If it wasn't for the COVID-19 vaccine, when I got COVID, I would have died.
Yeah, you would have.
I would have died.
You would have.
I had such an incredibly hard time breathing for like 2 months.
Yeah.
I'm popping prednisone like it's going out of style.
Like it's going out of style.
And I'm taking the Daily Max every single day for months, and I could barely breathe, and I was double vaccinated.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll never forgive it. I'll never forgive what our family had to go through.
My God. And we had to kick our kids out. It was a whole thing, dude. Let me tell you.
That's a whole nother Substack.
That's all. Yeah, totally. And then children underneath 5 and adults, elderly adults, are most at risk for getting pneumonia from the measles and long-term immune suppression.
I'm like, why wouldn't you just do it for the people that you love and your family that are compromised?
Yeah. So bottom line is measles is not just a rash. It's one of the most contagious and dangerous diseases in the world.
Oh, my God.
So, folks, please, if you listen to your old pal Jim, go get your titers, go get vaccinated, please. Please do these things to get your bug out bag, your blue out bag together. And also, before we go any farther, I want to talk about a few more things that you can throw into your blue out bag.
Okay.
Starting with personal identification. This is a list that Tiffany and I put together. And number one is when it comes to personal identification for your blue out bag. And by the way, I'll put this in the description so they can have it. Social Security card, birth certificate, passport, driver's license, and your marriage certificate. Make sure you have all of those. Financial and banking records is copies of your bank account information, routing and account numbers, credit card copies, lists of financial accounts, recent tax returns, pay stubs, property deeds and mortgage documents, vehicle title and registration. Get these copies together. Have them together in your blue out bag. You never know when something is going to happen.
You don't know what they have their hands on because it sounds to me like everything.
And you know what? And with them fucking around in the computers and all that.
That's what I'm saying.
You never know when something's going to get deleted. They could say, you know what? You don't have that money in your bank account.
Do you have a copy of that?
Do you have a copy of that? Folks, get a copy.
It's time to organize your own receipts because nobody's coming. They're not going to help you.
Yeah, I don't trust any of them.
Fuck no.
No. Next is for with medical and insurance. Have your Medicare, Medicaid, and health insurance cards, list of medications and prescriptions that you and your family take, emergency contact list, doctors, pharmacies, family, your living will, healthcare, power of attorney, disability or veteran benefits documentation, and vaccination records.
Yep.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Because I'll bet you here soon there could come a time where if you don't have your vaccination records, you're not going to be able to go fly anywhere.
It'll be just like it was in COVID. Can't go anywhere unless you have your little vaccine card or whatever the fuck it is. They're going to fuck with us because they're going to.
Yeah, folks. And we're not trying to scare nobody, man. You know, we're honest people. I'm just telling you this because
if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck and you've already lived through it in the last 5 years, they're probably going to do it again.
Yeah, they're going to do it. And this time they're not stopping.
They're not fucking around.
Yeah.
So
now everybody has to get a real ID license. What is a real ID license? A real ID is a federally compliant driver's license or identification card that meets enhanced security standards set by the Real ID Act of 2005. So starting May 7th, 2025, folks, it's coming right up. I know a lot of you know this, but I'm just trying to help out the folks who don't. You're going to need a real ID to board domestic flights and to enter certain federal buildings and military bases. Super, super important. How do you get your real ID? Okay, well, that's a whole new fresh hell.
Yeah. So it was enacted 20 years ago, and they're finally like, okay, now's the time. Now we phased it in slow enough, right?
Holy Moses, yeah. So you need to get your real ID. You need a U.S. passport. You need one of the following.
Okay.
A U.S. passport, a birth certificate, or a green card.
Okay.
Okay. You also need to have proof of Social Security number. So you need one of the following: a Social Security card, a W-2 form, a 1099 tax form with full Social Security number on it.
Okay.
You also need 2 proofs of residency. You need a utility bill, electric, gas, water. You need or a bank statement or a rental agreement or mortgage statement. You need 2 of those.
Okay.
If your name has changed, attention women, because this is meant to screw you over. If your name has changed because you got married or something like that, you will need a marriage certificate, a divorce decree, or a court order showing your name change. This is a big deal. So really quick, yeah. Right?
Okay.
Nothing like digging up your old divorce records, huh, Tiff?
Like from like over 20 years ago, like the 1900s. I don't have that. I burned that shit when I burned that wedding dress. That shit is gone. Like, I think I kept it for 7 years for tax purposes or something, but like,
I know.
I don't have any of that shit.
Okay, so just to let people know too, is we just got our passports because we knew this was coming.
Because I couldn't find these fucking documents they want. I'm like, I don't got them.
Oddly enough, we can get a passport though, right?
Right. Because if you have $130 fucking dollars, that's what you can get with the other documents you need.
So we recently got our passports, and I can say this. I needed to get my birth certificate, which I've had to do this. I'm 49 years old. I've had to get my birth certificate, I think maybe 2 or 3 times throughout my entire life because I've lost it, moved, whatever.
I've had the same one my entire life in the same space in my whatever house I live in. That's where it lives.
Well, that's because you're a nerd. Okay. I lived a life, man. I was roaming this earth.
I'm a rebel Dottie.
I'm a rebel Dottie.
I'm a loner.
I'm a loner.
You don't want to get mixed up with a guy like me. I'm a loner, Dottie. A rebel.
So anyways, I can attest, if you need a birth certificate, it is actually a little bit easier. One of the things in life that's easier, and you can do it online, and it literally was sent to me and got to my house within about 48 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, they like direct mailed that sucker to me.
Yeah, but this is Oregon. This is like things work here, you know?
This is true. But they got it to me, and I was so thankful because I needed it. I needed it to get my passport.
Right.
And so anyhow.
And so the deadline on this Real ID is May 7th?
May 7th. You got to be all buckled up and ready to go. If not, you will not be able to board domestic flights or enter federal building.
And looking as we're looking at these systems being broken from the inside out, you might want to start this process now because who fucking knows how long it's going to take to get it. So
absolutely. I want to say a huge thank you to Monique for calling. Again, Monique brought up the thing about the measles.
Mm-hmm.
But she also ended with another thing. And that other thing was she was mad. Remember, she got real quiet. She was like, and I'm seeing Trump people, coming out. She goes, and I got harassed by 3 guys at the gym because they're emboldened. Let's be honest.
Yep.
And Monique, we hear you, man. And, we have a call now, folks, that is quite buckle up because this one's pretty real and raw. So this is anonymous from Missouri. And Tiff, you want to set this one up?
This is anonymous from Missouri, and she is a sexual assault survivor, and her perpetrator is now in the White House.
Hi, I would like to be anonymous, and I am from Missouri. I am calling because I don't know how to reconcile the feelings that I'm having over knowing that someone who sexually assaulted me in college is now working in the White House and directly working with the president, Donald Trump. I'm like shaking right now. I just saw like a couple weeks ago that the guy who sexually assaulted me in college is a director of the White House and is a deputy assistant to the president. I've never said his name out loud in this context, and I've also never said his full name. So there is a lot of fear around this person being in our government and leading our country when I know what a disgusting thing he can do to other women and how he treats women. Yes, he is married, but that doesn't change what he did. In fact, he was dating the person that he is married to now when he assaulted me. And I am just so tired of seeing his fucking name and face and just seeing him get lifted up into the spotlight, into the American public. And just like he is riding a wave right now of so much ego. And I just know like what he did to me, and I'm reliving it, and it was public. And his best fucking friend had to talk me down afterwards and tell me not to say anything to anyone. And I thought I was protecting myself and my friend group at the time. And then decades later, I totally relive the entire sexual assault experience when I saw him on camera during the Trump-Vance campaign. And it like brought everything back, and I didn't realize that he was in the White House. I didn't didn't follow anything that he had been doing. And now he's in the White House. And there's so many other women out there who have to be going through what I'm going through, seeing someone who sexually assaulted them. And they're in a place of power now, and it does not make sense. And I'm honestly so angry and I'm fearful for our future. I'm fearful for our children. I'm fearful for our daughters. I'm fearful for men in power who hurt women, and there's no accountability. And if anything, the women who speak up are in more danger. I just had to say it to I just had to say it into the void. I just had to say it to somebody. He's fucking in the White House, and I have to live every day knowing that this man sexually assaulted me in college, and he is leading our country, and he's working for Donald Trump, who has also abused women. I feel like I'm living in a simulation or a nightmare.
Tiffany?
Us. First of all, I'm so sorry that happened to you. This is not your fault. There's nothing you could have done. There's nothing you could have said. There's nothing you could have worn. There's nothing you could have avoided. Right? Because that's what sexual assault is about. It's about power and control. It's not about us. If it wasn't you, it was going to be somebody else. You're not the first. I guarantee you, you're probably not the last. This is who they are. And it's really fucked up that there's this fucked up sisterhood now, right? All of us. Because that's what happens is these things, these experiences for the perpetrators are just transactional. They don't care. They're going about their lives. They get away with it. And they get in positions of power. I can't even imagine what it is like to just be going about your life and turn on the news. And this fucking guy from 20 years ago is in the White House now.
I can't even imagine that.
I'm not, my abuser is not on that level, okay? But nothing happened to him either. We went through the whole thing. My whole childhood was ruined, okay? And I was a teenager when it all finally exploded, and we went to court and we did the whole grand jury and everything. And they said, we believe you, but you can't prove it. Sorry, kid. And nothing happened. He continued his life. He kept his job. He lives in the same house to this day. Nothing happened to him. He had another family. I mean, it's just, they get away with it. And so what happens is this pain and this rage that you're having, it never goes away. It becomes like a second nature, right? And you have to get really good. The gift that comes with these things is you can compartmentalize what's happened. You can you can't stop a flashback when it starts, right? You just can't. But once it's hitting you, you just have to let it hit you and roll off your back. And sometimes it's quick, and sometimes it isn't. And it's not fair. It'll just hit you on an idle Tuesday. We'll just be fucking around, and the way he clears his throat, or just the way his cheeks touches my, I'm out. I'm 5 years old
or
now.
you smell something.
I smell
or
something. Yeah. Or just, and now it's 1983, it's like, it's 1989 again. And I have to talk myself off this ledge. I was dropping my daughter off for college, right? This is our last mother-daughter time together as she leaves and starts her own life, right? And it was just this beautiful time. And we're on our way to this really great, amazing time that we're going to have. And we get in this fucking Uber. And the person before me was wearing his cologne. I have not smelled this cologne since I was 16 years old. It has been over 30 years. And at this time of my life, my abuse is not in the way. There's not very many times in your life that I was able to stick it over here so I could go have this time with my daughter. I get in this fucking Uber. And the guy before me had that fucking cologne on. And now I'm in the Uber with my daughter, who is completely oblivious to what is now going on in here.
Right.
And she's having a great time, and she's talking about music, and it's supposed to be this wonderful time. And now I am 8 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't stop it. I have to just let it roll over me, because if I give it any attention, if I freak out in the middle of this flashback, it's going to ruin the entire thing that I am trying to provide for my daughter so she doesn't ever have this shit happen to her.
Yeah.
So I can't tell her any of that. Now we're having two separate experiences, and I am thankful for the therapy I got when this first happened to me, because if I wouldn't have gotten in right away and had that put into me, this is not your fault. You didn't ask for any of this to happen to you. This person is sick. This is what they do. It's got nothing to do with you. They are fucked up. I probably would not be alive today had I not had the proper guidance in the beginning.
Right.
That I was able, by the end of that Uber ride, I had that conversation that we have with ourselves as people with PTSD. You have to talk to the person you were when it happened as who you are now, and look at her and say, Tiffany, it's okay. I know you're just as scared. I know that you're feeling all the things, right? But it's only in here now. So experience it. It's okay to be afraid. You're right to be afraid. Those were horrible things that happened to you, but that's not who you are anymore. And just, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And the older I get, the easier that's become. But every once in a while, like these fucking Uber rides, or she's turning on the fucking news, and now she's 22 years old again.
Yeah.
Her college assaulter is like attacking her again. And she said it was a couple of weeks ago, and she's still reliving it. And it's just like, come on.
Well, I'd like to say, I've seen you over the years. I see it when it hits you.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this call before a few days ago we were going to talk about this call. And I was telling you how when it does hit you, even during times of intimacy, that doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, I'm never irritated. I'm never mad. I'm never anything. I feel so sorry for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know how else to say it, but as an ally, I don't know how else to feel other than utterly just my heart breaks. I mean, this is just, what the fuck is wrong with these dudes? I don't know. I don't get it. I wasn't born that way. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised by good men.
Yeah.
And I don't get it.
I really appreciate that as a woman. Like, when this happens to you when you're a kid, like, it hijacks your pleasure center for the rest of your life. There's this really great article called The Irony of Shame. And it's out on this website called takingbackourselves.org. And I'll post it with this show. And it talks about how shame in regular people, it's very healthy, right? You do something that you shouldn't be doing and you feel bad and you want to reconcile and make it better and be better in the future. But what happens with survivors of sexual assault is it becomes toxic. You feel shame and guilt about literally everything
Mhm.
from what you're wearing, how you're acting, how you're talking, what you're doing with your life. Like everything is about, you don't want to draw too much attention to yourself. You don't want to, like, I don't experience high volumes of joy,
Yeah.
of happiness, I have way dulled that down in myself because that's bad.
Yeah. You've always been like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rage and the anger, that shit, I wake up there. That's fucking easy sauce for me, right?
I've had to calm you down over the years.
I'm pissed off right now. I don't even know why, Like, it's
Yeah.
super easy for
Yeah.
me. But the ooey gooey love, safe places as girls, I don't have experience with that. This is the only man who's ever given me the space to be who I am and be anything, and he's not trying to get something out of me. That's why I always call him a unicorn.
No.
That's never happened to me before. And you've been that way since I've known you when we were kids.
Yeah.
There were, I've known him since 1983. We went to middle school together. If you're a middle school girl and you hear a pack of boys coming down the hallway, that's not Safeville. You better get your shit and get the fuck out, right? Because it's middle school. But every time I would hear them and I'm in the hallway by myself and I would hear the four of them coming down the hallway, I just knew, like, oh, it's just James and Brian, Lonnie, and Scott,
We were pretty harmless.
Yeah, and you were just really just authentic friends, male friends, which I don't have a lot of experience with.
Yeah.
And as far as like, oh, this is what sucks about surviving something like this is like it never leaves you. You're actually never going to mitigate what has happened. You just you have to get to know yourself really good, and you have to go like, uh-oh, am I having like a full-on, I just smelled fresh cut grass for the first time in the spring. That's a huge trigger for me. I have to go through 2,900 mental steps up here to not lose my shit for an entire 10 days. Like, I have to do a whole dismantling up here.
Yeah.
It's insane. But it doesn't go away. So the only way that Anonymous from Missouri and me, we don't get justice, right? Girls like us don't get it. Some girls do. By us sharing our stories and looking at each other and going, oh my God, me too. Can you fucking believe it? We have now empowered our daughters. We have now educated our sons to this shit is real. This affects generations. This is our own generational trauma that we have to get right with. And we have to instill in our daughters, this is not the way. And our sons, this is not the way. My daughter won't put up with half the shit I put up with. There's no fucking ass way.
No.
Stuff is going to happen to her that happened to me.
Right.
Because of what you and I have gone through, their lives are better.
Yeah.
The sons are better. They're just, unfortunately, there's a lot of us. There's millions of us. But by sharing our stories and coming together and being like, girl, me too. This what are we going to do? It's helping us raise the next generation. I'm worried for the kids too. I'm worried for the men who think they can get away with this. And the more of us that get loud and stick together and cause a huge fucking ass scene, because I decided a long time ago, my middle name is Petty. I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
I will make your life a living hell if you fuck with women. It's just, I can't allow it. And I won't allow boys like that around my daughter.
Yeah.
I won't allow boys like that here. We don't do that. This is us now. We have to take care of each other.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your call. Thank you to everyone who called the People's Hotline this week. And we have a new thing now where we're allowing an additional call to take us out.
I like that. The last call.
Last call.
I really like that.
So this week, the last call is a veteran from Texas. His entire family was in the military. He lists he lists all of them off, and all the way from World War II to the Civil War.
Wow.
So this from Vietnam, all of it. So, but he makes a really, really good point about how, he can recognize a communist dictator when he sees it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got all of this experience, and he's shocked that people, his friends in Texas, don't believe him, basically. And he also has some good things to say about how the media is dumbing us down. So thank you, everyone, for watching this episode, listening to this episode. We just can't thank you enough from the bottom of our hearts. If you'd like to support this show, you can do so by being a subscriber to our Substack at tealandorangereport.com. It sure means a lot to us.
And thanks, everybody, for calling and your messages. It's really helping us all feel like we're not alone out there.
And don't forget to make a Blue Out bag. It's really important that we all are prepared because let's be honest, folks, we really don't know what's going to happen. So thank you to everybody for listening. We'll see you next week, and we're going to allow a veteran from Texas to take us out. You got the last call.
I'm from Texas. Originally, I was born in New Jersey. I know all about Trump and what he's trying to do to this country. I'm an ex-veteran, too. And I see communism for what it is. My whole family had been in wars. My uncle was in the South Pacific in Midway. And my father flew 25 missions over Germany in a B-17. My great-uncle was an ambulance driver in World War I. And my great-grandfather was in the Civil War, inducted into the infantry in New York. And I was 17 years old and stood in front of General Curtis LeMay. So I'm here to tell you that I see it for what it is. We have a communist dictator in here that's tearing this country down. And I know more about Trump than the average person does in Texas, in the South. But when you talk to people that don't listen to what you know and the knowledge that you know, they think they know it. And the problem is trying to commute with people that are 65 years of age. I'm concerned about my Social Security, and I'm concerned about the things that I worked for all my life, that them cutting off of Medicare or Medicaid is going to put people out in the streets in institutions that count on that money from Medicare, and they're doing the blitzkrieg. If you know anything about World War II, that's what Hitler did, invaded into Hungary and Poland. The same tactics that they're using right now today. The sad part about it is that your news broadcast stations, they keep everybody dumbed down, and you have to pay for the real news. You have to pay for it. So, like I said, I'm 85 years old, and I see it for what it is, and stripping everything that's decent and right that we worked for all our lives. All I can say, I'm waiting for the Lord to come back, and the sooner the better. I hope that this gets out to the American people. Glad you have this broadcast station here. You can vent out and say what you think, what's on your mind.